going to be icy cold and windy in Buffalo for this game, which probably means we're going to see kind of the same that we saw in Week 4. A lot of running, especially from the Baltimore Ravens, who that has been their key to victory since acquiring Derrick Henry this past offseason. So that's going to be obviously what the Ravens are going to be looking at, and obviously what the Bills' defense is going to be staring at. A big 247-pound Derrick Henry running straight at them. I'd be terrified if I was the Buffalo Bills defense. But this comes at the Buffalo Bills number 2 seed overall, and this is revenge for Week 4. Sean McDermott needs to get his act together if he wants to get out of the division round for the first time since the 2020 season, which is ridiculous. So here's the big thing. Which MVP candidate, in your opinion, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, will be able to come out on top? Will it be the Baltimore Ravens advancing to the a back-to-back AFC Championship game, or can the Bills finally get out of the divisional game, like I said, for the first time since the 2020 season?
Well, the Ravens are favored -1. My takeaway here, the Ravens' rushing attack, too much for the Bills in a game where the cold weather will negatively affect the passing game. So I think it is, as you mentioned, it's going to be a lot of running. The Ravens have an elite running game with Lamar and with Derrick Henry, thunder and lightning. The Derrick Henry being the 247-pound bull who can run as fast as anybody. He's an amazing player. He's a freak of nature, one of the Bills defensive guys said. Lamar Jackson, MVP candidate. I think he's got a little bit of an edge right now. Just the way he's played in this last playoff game. It was really quite special. The Ravens won the first game and covered in Week 4, 35-10. Derrick Henry had 199 yards in that game. Jackson had 2 passing TDs. The Ravens' defense is much improved since they played in Week 4, allowing an average of 11.4 points per game over its last 5 games. That's extremely good. Best in the NFL. And covered on all 5 games, while Buffalo was alternated against the spread, wins and losses over its past 7 games. They did cover this past week. Allen and Jackson, they ranked 1 and 2 in rushing yards by a quarterback in playoff games in NFL history. Allen having 609 yards and Jackson right behind him was 602. And I think there's going to be a lot of running in this game. The wind blowing hard and a big cold out there. It's going to be tough to pass the ball. I'd say that favors the Ravens. The Ravens had 299 rushing yards against the Steelers, 186 by Henry with 2 TDs on 26 carries. The Ravens had 3 drives of more than 85 yards or more for TDs against the Steelers, which I thought was really very impressive. Their first 3 drives, more than 85 yards. And one of those drives, they didn't, a 13-play drive, they didn't pass the ball once. And that sets up nicely for a game that's going to be very cold with the wind blowing. Looks like Zay Flowers may not play again because of his knee injury. The Ravens are trying to return to the AFC Championship game. Buffalo has lost 3 straight times in the divisional round, as you mentioned. Allen is 6-5 as a playoff starter. I think one of the keys to this game, and I do think it's going to be very close, I have the Ravens winning 28-24 and covering, but I think that the coaching here and Sean McDermott, we've seen him in the past in very close games making some poor in-game decisions that cost the Bills games, particularly against the Chiefs. I think there's possibility of that happening again here. And it's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be back with my keys to the game after your take.
Well, I was wrong last week when I picked the Pittsburgh Steelers to do what they normally do against Lamar Jackson, especially in the playoffs. I thought it was going to be a double whammy, and I was very, very wrong because I have to look at my older take when it came to Russell Wilson is he's not good, which I should have believed in more. But this time it's different. This time I have a legitimate quarterback who has been in some big-time moments and has this season taken down the 2 top teams in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Detroit Lions. And then Lamar Jackson having probably his best all-around statistical season of his career, by far the most passing touchdowns he's ever had with 41, only 4 interceptions, which is ridiculous. And this defense went from being the worst to one of the best since about the bye week. But in this case, I think it's a little bit different because I think it's going to be special to see just what Josh Allen does because these are two MVP candidates. Josh Allen's been number one for a little while now. People thought Lamar Jackson should be number one, but then again, we could argue, do stats matter because they didn't matter last year? But regardless, we've had this MVP conversation before. But this game's a little bit different because the last time these teams faced off, by the way, the Ravens were 1-2 with a horrible loss, garbage loss against the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. It was a terrible loss. The Raiders defense shut down anything Lamar Jackson did. It was just a bad loss overall. And the Bills defense was without their entire starting linebacker core with Terrell Bernard and Matt Milano out, and they got Balen Spector and Dorian Williams in. They also were without their all-pro nickel cornerback and Teron Johnson. And they lost starting safety Taylor Rapp in that game. And also their number one wide receiver at the time, Khalil Shakir, he was also hindered with an ankle injury. So this is now a healthy Buffalo Bills team because all those players are back, and they added Amari Cooper to the wide receiver core, which also helps because that's just another target that Josh Allen can target in a big-time spot, which he did in the Kansas City Chiefs game. A beautiful throw to the sideline, one-handed catch, and then cross-field, nice rainbow throw to Amari Cooper to keep that drive going. But obviously, this game will be about the running game. And I think James Cook being a vital asset for the Buffalo Bills, they'll need to get him going in some regard. But let's take a look quickly at the playoff numbers between these two quarterbacks because it is quite interesting. Because Josh Allen does have a winning record in the playoffs. He has a better completion percentage. He has more total yards. He has more total touchdowns. He has fewer turnovers, and he has a better passer rating. So Josh Allen has been the better playoff quarterback. Now we can look at some of the opponents, and it's fair. It's fair. Completely fair, and I've argued this in the past, to look at some of the quarterbacks he's beaten, or rather the Bills have beaten. We're talking about the Kenny Pickett's of the world. We're talking about the Mac Joneses of the world. Not exactly top-tier quarterbacks. And then going up against Joe Burrow and against Mahomes, that's where he suffered a majority of his losses here. But I think this time it's going to be different because Josh Allen has been slighted for several years. And this is the first year where he's not being the Brett Favre that we all know, where it's multiple, double-digit interceptions this season, high touchdowns, big numbers. He's been a very efficient quarterback, and that's with Joe Brady's offense here. So I think it is going to be very, very important to see. But here's a key that I think Sean McDermott needs to grill into his team. And that's the fact that the Bills this year are an incredible home team. They're on the road last time they versed the Baltimore Ravens. They've been favored in 42 straight home games. And this is the first game since Week 17 of 2020 against the Miami Dolphins when they were 3.5-point underdogs that they are no longer favored at home. Does anyone remember what happened in that game, Week 17? They blew out the Miami Dolphins 56-26. The Dolphins were 3.5-point favorites. Blew them out by 30. And in this season, we can take a look at the splits here because I do have them. Home versus road. The Buffalo Bills, all their losses have come on the road. We're taking a look at also, this also includes the playoffs, obviously. Points per game, about 7 more. Total yards per game, it's about the same. This is the big one. Points allowed and total yards per game allowed. 16 at home based on 25 on the road. 283 yards allowed, total yards allowed at home versus 386 on the road. They basically have the same turnover differential because their defense takes the ball away at a very, very nice rate. But this is a very home-struck team. They love their home crowd. Bills Mafia is going to be very loud in this game. So if they can just maintain the numbers, they don't need to replicate them exactly, but maintain them to a similar level. Because if you could somehow hold the Ravens to under 300 yards when they're basically having 200 passing and 200 rushing every single game, then I think there's several opportunities for the Bills to come in this game and Josh Allen be as efficient as he normally is throughout this entire season. I think that we'll see a similar situation when it comes to their main threat being Derrick Henry, the Bills' threat being Derrick Henry on the other side just barreling through. Because remember how that game opened? An 87-yard touchdown play on the first play for the Baltimore Ravens. You can't allow that to happen. Because then that puts you down a touchdown. Now you're fighting for yourself. Now Lamar Jackson can do the 13-play drive, which is all running. And you're just dripping the clock down and further and further and further, limiting time of possession. We saw what that did last week. They nearly had double the amount of time of possession than the Pittsburgh Steelers had. If that's the case, where they have 39 minutes total time of possession, and they have nearly double yours, we're going to see a similar situation. We're going to get blown out probably 35-10 again. Can't let that happen if you're the Buffalo Bills. So I am picking the Bills. The score that I have is 31-28. I think it's going to be a late game heroics from Josh Allen again because he desperately needs to be, I'm not saying put on the Superman cape, but he's got to be damn close to being Superman again.
Yeah.
He has to be.
I think it'll be a very close game. You might be right. But I think that the cold and wind in Buffalo, which may mean the quarterbacks will run a lot more, I think favors Lamar. Allen has the most rushing yards in postseason history at 609, but the Ravens defense only gave up 239 yards to quarterbacks this season, which was fifth fewest. So I don't think he'll have as much success as he normally does. The Bills gave up 306 rushing yards to quarterbacks, which was 11th fewest. But Lamar is he's a different beast, and he's a unique player, and he's so quick, and the play where he and Henry are standing there, and it's not sure which one has the ball.
Option. That's what that's called.
The read option. They work that to T, and the defense, by the time they figure out who has the ball, are out of position, and it usually means a big gain. So they're going to be doing that a lot, and I think that will be successful for them. I think that the Ravens, the formula for winning is what we've been saying all year: less than 30 pass attempts and more than 20 rushing attempts by Henry. It's been a winning formula for them all year. They play that. I think they get a very good chance to win. The Bills, on the other hand, I think their recipe for victory is stopping Henry. They have to target him they have to get him on the ground when he breaks the pass the second level, and he'll do that frequently here. And what he's done to other teams is he's gone. He gets to the second level and they can't catch him. So they've got to find a way to stop him. And they have to have an efficient game from Josh Allen. He can't turn the ball over. He's done a very good job of that this year. And he's going to be running the ball quite a bit too, because I do think it's going to be tough to pass. This will be the coldest game that the Lamar Jackson's ever played in. We'll have to see if that has any effect on him. Josh Allen is used to the cold. It's generally been a positive factor for the Bills in games they played there. Sometimes there's 2 feet of snow on the ground, so there isn't going to be that this time, but it will be cold and windy. And I'd say overall that probably has a benefit to the Bills, but I do see the Ravens finding a way to win this game.
I think it'll be, how is this game played? Because I think actually the snow and the cold and the wind or whatever, I think it's going to be cold and windy. I think it favors the Bills more, because what's the chances that Lamar throws the ball? They're the second worst graded coverage team in the NFL, according to PFF. So if you're forced to run the ball, that kind of falls into the Bills' favor more, because if you're just going to go bombs away against the Bills, well, then maybe they're at the upper end, because your best receiver is probably Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely, because you're probably going to be without Zay Flowers again. And I think that it matters more in this game than it did last week, because do we really expect the Baltimore Ravens to have an issue in the wild card? No, because I think that when it comes to the wild card games, we take a look at it, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, I did pick the Steelers to win. I forgot that their quarterback and the entire offense is averaging 14 points a game. And and what the Ravens have done, and that's why I think the MVP argument, it is what it is. But Josh Allen and this team has improved through getting rid of some players. Meanwhile, the Baltimore Ravens have gotten better offensively by adding a very key piece in Derrick Henry. That's the difference in this MVP conversation. The Bills got better by subtraction. The Ravens got better with addition. So throw that out there with MVP, because we can talk about this all day. Brock Purdy's numbers last year with Christian McCaffrey being a very key cog of that offense. Well, guess what? McCaffrey got more first-place MVP votes than Brock Purdy did. Why is this any different? Brock Purdy had similar numbers with Lamar Jackson this year, yet Christian McCaffrey got more first-place MVP votes. And yet, we take a look at Josh Allen this year versus Lamar last year. Well, the numbers didn't matter because Josh Allen had better numbers than Lamar Jackson did.
Yeah. Well, Lamar has definitely benefited from having Henry. He even said it. He said, I can hand off to him 2-3 times. Then if they start to go on him, then I can go and I'm fresh. I've just been handing the ball off to him. I'm ready to roll. So they've worked that to a T. It's only gotten better. It's really special to watch, and I think the game will be very exciting.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching this clip of the Harvey Hour. If you want to watch the full show, you can by clicking the I in the top right-hand corner.
right now. If you want to take the show with you on the go, it is available wherever you get your podcast. We go live here on YouTube every single Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a video and whenever we go live.